Again, welcome to Java programming language. In these lectures, we're going to learn the concept of Java programming language. Again, we will go through the basic syntax of Java program, also how to create, compile, and run Java programs. Also, we are going to explain the difference between syntax errors, runtime errors, and also logic errors. In almost any programming language, we have three different types of errors. Syntax error represents the grammatical error. Runtime errors normally occurs after compiling the program. When we run the program, there will be an error. So for example, if we divide the value by 0, when we compile it, there will be no error. But when you run it, because a number divided by 0 is undefined, we are going to get a runtime error. And logic errors normally happen if the answer we get from our program after running it was incorrect. So for example, I want to write a program to find the sum of two numbers, and I mistakenly find the difference of two numbers, which means the result I'm going to get is not correct. But again, this is not the syntax error, which is grammatical error. Runtime error will not occur. You will get your output correctly, but again, the result will be wrong. So logic error is very hard to detect because we have to detect it. The programmer have to detect it by looking at the result. Runtime error occurs by the machine. Syntax error also occurs by the machine, the computer do it. So let's start with the anatomy of Java program. Every Java program language consists of a class name. So the first time we write a Java program, we are going to have the main class. And the name of the main class is the same as the name of the Java file. The program name will be the same name as the main class with extension of .java. So if I create a program and the main class name is welcome, then the Java program file name will be welcome.java. So again, Java standalone program starts with a main class, and the main class must have a name. Then inside the main class, we are going to have the main method. The main method is where the executions will take place. So every standalone Java program, we have a main method inside the main class. And the main method is always it's a static method because it doesn't depend on any class or an object. Then every Java language also consists of statements. So we may have a statement to find the sum of two numbers, or we may have a statement to print some results or to print some message on our screen. A statement terminator will be the semicolon to end the statement. Also in Java, we have a reserved word. So example will be print. A print is a word that's understood or understand by the Java compiler, IDE. So it's a reserved word. So I cannot create a class and name it print unless I start with uppercase P. Java programming language is case sensitive. It's a case sensitive. So if I have a print and all the cases are lowercase, it's different from if I have a print and all the cases are uppercase, or only one is uppercase and the rest is lowercase. It's different. So print all lowercase is a reserved word. Java understand that that's a method to print something on the screen. Also, we may have a comment. A comment normally will describe our program or the author name, the function, the purpose of the program, etc. So here we start with the class name. We can see our program here. Again, we have a public class welcome. So this is our main class. This means our file name also will be welcome.java. So every Java program must have at least one class. This is one class, a main class. Each class must have its own name. So by convention, class names start with an uppercase letter. Again, we can start with a lowercase, but by convention, we start with uppercase. So here we have public class. Our main class name is welcome. Then we have public static void main. So this is our main method. Our main method is where the execution takes place. So we have a curly brace open and close, and everything inside the main method or inside the open and close curly brace will be executed in the main method. So here we are going to execute welcome to Java. System.out.println. Println means to print an item, a message here on the screen. Then we move the cursor to a new line, to the next line. So that's the ln. We also have a print. Print means I will print whatever I have to. Then the cursor will be in the same line. And we may discuss the two. For now, what is a class? Every Java programmer again have a main class, at least one class. And the main class, as we said, the name of it is the same as the name of the file. Now we also have what we call the main method. Main method is where execution takes place. So in our line 2 here, we have public static void main string, then the arguments. So again, we're going to discuss this, but for now, we want to know that every Java standalone program should have a main method, because main method is where the execution takes place. So as we said earlier, the execution here is that we have one statement, and this statement will execute. So that is the statement. So a statement represents an action or a sequence of actions. So the statement here, system.out.println, is an action to print welcome to Java string on our screen monitor. So that's a statement. And always a Java statement ends with a semicolon. So it's like English language. A sentences always end with a period. In Java language, a statement is more or less like a sentences, and it's always end with a semicolon. That is the syntax or the grammar of Java language. So that's what we call the statement terminator. Every statement in Java ends with a semicolon, and we call it statement terminator to end the statement. So we also have what we call the reserved words. So a reserved words or keywords are the words that have a specific meaning to the Java compiler or interpreter. And those words cannot be used for other purposes in the program. For example, I cannot create a class and I will name it public. Public, everything lowercase letters, because this public is again a reserved word or a keyword. Now, I can name my program public if I can start with at least one uppercase. P or any letter can be uppercase. Or if all the letters are uppercase, that's fine. As we said earlier, Java programming language is a case sensitive. So it's a big difference. So here the keywords we have, or the reserved word, is public, class, public, static, and void. All of them are lower cases. We cannot use any of these words as a name of our variable or class, etc. It's a reserved word, and there's a meaning to Java. Also, we have blocks. So blocks is normally where we start with our curly brace open and close. So for example, the class block here is, we have a main class named test. So public class test, we open a curly brace, and always the one we open first, we will close it last. So the class block closes last. Then inside the main class block, we have the main method block. The main method block, when we have the main method heading, we open the curly brace and we close it. So everything inside is the method block. So a pair of braces in a program forms a block that groups components of a program. So again, public class test. The file of this Java program will be test.java because the main class is test. The test block, we open curly brace and we close it. So everything this code will be inside the main class test. So here we have only, again, main method. Main method also, you have its own statement. So we open and close the curly brace, which is another, again, a block. Then also Java consists of special symbols. We saw what the curly brace does, open and close to denote a block. We also have a open and close parentheses. Normally we call it the argument or parameters of a method. So when we see the main method with, let's go one, we can see that the main method, we have an open and close parentheses. What is inside is the message that the main method is going to use to execute or perform its functions or task. So normally we use the term the arguments of the method. We also have a square bracket. Normally we use the square bracket for array. We will discuss what is an array in our future lectures. Then we have a double slash, which is a backward slash. The double slash here represents a comment line. Then we have a quotation double. This open and close quotation mark normally consists of a string. So always when we have a string, we put it in a quotations, open and close, left and right. Then as we know, the semicolon, that's our statement terminator. So these are all special symbols and they has a meaning for Java language. So this program will print what we call the welcome to Java. So this is again our comment, double backslash. So when we compile this program, everything after the double backslash, the compiler will ignore it. So this program prints welcome to Java. We can see this is a comment to explain what this program will do. So this program again have a main class called welcome. So we start with the keyword public class welcome. Then we have the main method where the execution takes place. This is again a standalone Java program. So we need a main method. If we don't have no main method, we cannot execute this program. So we have public static. Static means this main method, we don't need to create an object for it. And when we start the object-oriented programming and we start to create our own classes, we will discuss about what is a static and also other methods that rely on object or classes. There are some methods that if we create it in a class. In order to use it, we need to create an object and reference to the method. Here, in main method, we don't need to do it. That's why we denote it as static method. So we have the parentheses, which will be our arguments. And we have the semicolon, and we have the comment also. Then we have our double quotation for our string. And every time a string is always in a quotation, open and left and right. So programming style and documentation, we always should focus on having an appropriate comment. Too much of comment is not good, and too less also is not good. So always we do our best to have as much as possible, not too much, and also not too less. Naming convention, we should be careful. For example, if I declare a variable, which right now we are not doing yet, but in the future we may declare a variable. If I declare variable name X, and I want to install sales value of a product, or I want to install, let's say, a last name. Well, if I name the variable X and I install a last name, it's very hard to know exactly what is there. So if I have a variable and I want to store last name, maybe I may name the variable last name, or at least a name. And also address. If I want to store addresses of customers in a variable, instead of naming it Y, I may name it address. So we should use the naming conventions. Also, proper indentation makes us to read our code very well. Our code will be more readable. Then we should also consider the block styles, which make our program more formatted, more readable also. So that's what we mentioned, appropriate comment, which include a summary at the beginning of a program to explain what the program does, its key features, its supporting data structures, and any unique techniques it uses. Possible, we can include our name, our class section, the instructor name, the date, and a brief description at the beginning of the program. Now, too much comment is not appropriate, and too less is not appropriate. So we try to have enough that may make it possible. At least we know who wrote the code. If it's for a class, maybe I may have the class name or the class section, the instructor of the class, the date it was written, and maybe a little bit description of what the program is doing. So naming convention, normally we choose capitalize the first letter of each word in a name. So for example, class name is 2 words. We can't have a space between. Again, we'll go through the rules of naming any variable identifiers in Java program language. So I name a method compute expression. I start with the capital letter C. When I want to start the second word, I start with the capital letter E, no space between. Proper indentation spacing. Here, the advice is to indent 2 spaces. Spacing, you can use the blank line to separate segments of the code. Again, this is just a suggestion, it's not a rule. It will make our program more readable or more format. So this is an example. I write a program, public class test, and I have indent the main method, and I indent one more to have the statement in the main method. This looks nice, I can read it easily. I can see the first line is a main class. Everything is inside the main method. The statement is inside the main method. Now the next one is also okay. We have the main class name. We have the main method. But we can see that instead of putting the curly brace in a new line, we continue in the same heading line of the method, which is okay also. This is readable. But again, it's up to individual which one we prefer. The next thing we're going to talk about is the programming errors. In almost every programming language, I have these 3 types of error. Syntax error means grammatical error. I forget to put a semicolon after I finish with my statement. Or I have a variable name with space, or with a question mark, or with a, so again, syntax error means we didn't go by the Java program grammatical rules. Such as English, we have some rules where a period can be, where a semicolon can be, etc. Runtime error means my program doesn't have no grammar. If a program have a syntax error, it will not even compile at all, so you cannot run it. When you are able to compile it and remove all the grammatical errors or the syntax errors, the next is to run it to execute it. Now, if we have a value, let's say example, divided by 0, we cannot get an answer. So this can give us what we call the runtime error. So normally in Java program, we have what we call the exception handling, which again will help us to throw the errors away, especially runtime errors. Logic errors normally happen when you compile the program, no problem, it compile okay. When you run it, there's no runtime error, but the result we get is incorrect. Example would be, I want to find the product of 2 numbers, but instead of writing product, I wrote the sum. So the sum of 2 numbers, maybe the answer we get is different from the product of 2 numbers. So we get incorrect result. This is one of the errors that only the human being, the programmer, can detect it. Computer cannot detect this error. Runtime error is caused by the program. Syntax error also is caused by the program. will be detected by the compiler, and the same thing, runtime errors will be detected by the IDE compiler. But logic error, we have to detect it ourselves. So here we have example of a syntax error. Let's see, we have public class show syntax error. We open our curly brace, we have our main method, everything look good. But what we are missing, welcome to Java, we said the syntax, we need to have a starting quotation and we have to end it with a quotation. So if we run this program, we are going to get a syntax error because we miss quotation at the end of welcome to Java. So let's run it and see. So here I have the program. We can see that we don't have welcome to Java. We are missing one quotation at the end. So when I run it, compile example live, we can see the result down here. They are telling us that they show syntax error. That's the good thing with the IDE. It will even tell us where the error is, the line number. So in this case, it's line number 3. Show syntax error Java line number 3 and at the semicolon there. So we can look at line number 3 and we can see that, oh, okay, we miss right before the semicolon, we miss double quotation. Then we can fix it, then we can rerun it again. So for example, I'm going to fix it here. And when I fix it, anytime again here, I'm using a simulation system, but in the compiler, let's say NetBeans or Eclipse, when you fix it, you have to save the code. Then when you save it, then you run it. So here it's still giving me my one error. And this time it said the public static main string. So I'll look if I'm missing anything. Public static main. So there's no any error, but again, it should be, this is a simulation, so I cannot save the program if after I again change it. So again, that's the error. Some quotation is missing after Java in the string. So this is a runtime error. We can see we are dividing a value by 0. So let's try that also. Everything look good. We have public static void. Let's go to the previous one again. Should be open. Okay, so the previous one now, as we miss the public static, we miss the void. So let me put it here again. Normally, so I'll put the void, public static void, then I'll compile it. I just want to make sure we get it right. So this time it compiled successfully and it shows welcome to Java. So we correct the errors. Then the second one here, we cannot divide by 0. So let's run it and see. Everything look okay, but here it's telling us that the compiling was successful because this is a runtime error. So the compiling, no problem, everything okay. But the runtime error, that's what it says, show runtime error, arithmetic exception, divide by 0. It explains the error to us. So I can come here and say, okay, let me change it to divide by 10 and let's see what will happen. So now if I divide 1 by 10, the answer is 0. Everything worked fine. Now, the reason why the answer is 0 because this is an integer. So if I divide an integer by an integer, the answer will, the decimal part will not count. So for example, 6 divided by 7, the answer will be 0 because it will be 0 point something, but the point will not come. 7 divided by 6, the answer will be 1 point something, but only the whole number will come, so the answer will be 1. So let's make it like 1.0 divided by 10.0 and then run it. So this time we should get the decimal. So we see the answer is 0.1. Why? Because we are dividing a decimal number by a decimal number. So the answer will be a decimal number. So that's correct, 0.1. But when we divide 1 by 10, the answer will be 0. It will be 0.1. Again, we will go through details on this when we cover Java data types. So here we have a logical error. You see, we have the formula for converting Celsius to Fahrenheit. It will be 9 by 5 times 35 plus 32. But here you can see that we have one parenthesis cover 9 by 5 times 5 plus 32 with this. So everything look perfect. One parenthesis for the inner, the outer parenthesis, double quotations, public static void main. So we can see that everything is correct. But what will happen is that we are not going to get the right answer. Let's say, for example, in our case, we want to add 35 with 32 first before we multiply. Or we want to, in this case, we are going to divide first, then we multiply by 35, then we add 32. But if the answer is supposed to be we add 32 to 35 before we do the multiplication, then we have a wrong answer. Again, let's see our answer here. Let's compile it. You can see that when we compile it, no problem. Everything worked out fine. The answer is 67. The answer is 67. But maybe the formula is wrong. It's supposed to be minus 32, not plus 32. So here we can change. There's nothing wrong. The only thing that is wrong, we have to know the formula and we have to know the answer. So if I do this, I get 3. So maybe I'll say that 3 is the right answer. But again, as we said, the logic errors is that the result is not correct. So this will be the conclusion of our lectures. So in these lectures, we saw our first Java program with only one statement. We explained basically what is a class, what is a main, what is a statement, what is a Java errors, syntax error, logic error, runtime error. Again, in our next lectures, we will start to go more details now. We will start with the Java variables. And one thing with programming language, sometimes what we do in chapter 1, what we learn, we are going to apply it in future chapters. So what we learn in this lecture, surely we will see it in many lectures to come. Every Java program must have a main class, so we will see main class always. Every Java standalone program may have a main method. We will see it always. So again, wish everybody the best and thank you.